Hey YouTube, this is Prometheus, guys, giving you more than the meta. So guys, I want to go ahead and show you how cover 6 coverage works, how it matches certain types of coverages and stuff like that, and basically how to break it. There's a lot of ways to break cover 6 coverage. It's not necessarily a great coverage if you're running against someone like myself that knows how to break it. And I'll be frank with you, as I started labbing different types of concepts just for this video, I'm like, oh my god, I just found another way to break this coverage. Oh my god, I just found another way to do this. So this is a really good video. If you do run into someone that uses cover 6 against you, you can get one-play touchdowns based on some of the things I'm going to show you. So hit a like if you like these type of breakdowns. It's going to be probably a longer video of me kind of showing you the ins and outs of basically cover 6 and how to break it if you do run into it. Now, the reason why cover 6 is a good defense is that basically it offers some unique type of coverage assignments, but also run fit assignments. You've got an outside defender that actually will play a run fit. So you've got these guys will play run fits, and then an inside defender will play a run fit. So it's just if you got a guy that like to stretch the ball out to the right, out to the outside, you've got a run fit out here, and then obviously you've got some pretty good run fits with the safety will actually come in. So it's pretty stout against the run opposed to cover 3, which is going to have more defenders that are actually going to go and play up in coverage. Now, when you're looking at this coverage, you basically want to split the coverage in half, and you've got what we have is like kind of a cover 4 palms type coverage on this side. And if you're not familiar with cover 4 palms, basically what this means is that these defenders play a box over here. So these 4 defenders play boxes. This guy's got basically flat responsibilities, and will actually carry with a number 2 or number 3 wide receiver. This guy will cover over the top for a number 2 or number 3 wide receiver, and this guy is basically a mag where basically he goes everywhere that man assemble guy is at, except if it's a 2x2 set. On this side, we've got basically a cover 2 shell, which essentially is going to be a cover 2 match, and these guys will go vertical with these defenders, and I have got a safety that will support it. But if you got yourself a situation where you've got drag routes or slant routes, this defender will let it carry, and this guy will pick this up, and vice versa. He won't go to the outside, he won't go horizontally. So what's cool about this coverage is that it's difficult to read. And people don't do any kind of like conventional type coverages. It's not like a zone shell and stuff like that. It does have matching concepts, but against verticals, any kind of vertical routes, this matches very well. So it doesn't give up a lot of one-play touchdowns unless you know how to break it. So common formation that we'll see that are 2x2 sets, basically 2 wide receivers on this side, 2 wide receivers on this side. You got your running back in the backfield. Is going to be like a normals or doubles formation. A lot of pro players are really starting to jump into basically these 2x2 sets because of some of the cool motion plays that we got. But you can see these guys are all matched up. We've got verticals across the board, and it's completely, everything's supported deep. I'm going to go to the 3-rec hook, which is going to be that running back route, and now the guy's got to scramble this quarterback, which if you got a guy that scrambles with this quarterback, it's kind of, if it becomes predictable action, then you're going to be in a good situation where you can spy him up or do QB contains and put him in a situation where he won't know where to go with the ball. So that's kind of the ideal situation. You can see all these guys are matching up perfectly with this coverage, with basically this cover 6. Everything verticals is going to get taken up by this coverage. So what it does. Now, one of the things I noticed with this as I was doing this is that in verticals, if you have your running back doing a flat route, these guys, these defenders right here, convert into zone coverage. So they're going to play zone coverage. This guy's going to play Tampa 2, come up about 20 yards, and then come down to the flat. And then you've got the safety that has to defend deep. So it's a little trick that you can discover that actually can go ahead and expose your opponent. If he runs cover 6 a lot against you, basically you can go ahead and basically expose that coverage. So you're going to see what's going to happen a little bit later, when this ball gets snapped. There's going to be some passing lanes with that flat route that you can throw the ball against. But a lot of times what happens is people really don't see that initially, and you can see that if the defenders play down in the box, you can do that. Now, we're basically, this defense really shines is going to be basically against anybody that runs a lot of slants. There are some people out there that spam slants plays, but here's your weakness. This defender, if it's a 2x2 set, will play over the top. He's not going to go with this guy and carry him everywhere he goes on a 2x2 set. If it's a 3x1 set, he'll go with him, but he won't do it with a 2x2. So this is not really the ideal defense to run against 2x2 sets, unless you're going to go ahead and make adjustments with these two defenders right here, and this defender maybe playing a cover 2 match shell or something like that, or maybe have a hybrid cover 3 out there, because what happens is that these guys are just not they're not going to match up perfectly. But the backside slant flat concept, you can see these guys are playing this perfectly. They're passing things off, they're coming down, they're reacting, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. Now, another concept I like to use to try to go against like these a cover 6 who might be a corner, a street corner route, but you can see this really matches up perfectly against basically a 2x2 formation where it's a street corner route. You can make it into a flood concept by doing a drag underneath, and you can see how this guy actually comes down, then bites, and it gives a small little passing lane right there, but actually you can click on and actually get an interception. So if you can click on quick enough, you can really turn it over. Now, where cover 6 shines really well, and this is what kind of like, it's like this is maybe a play that you want to jump into against the 3x3 set. So you got your 1 wide receiver here, you got your number 2, you got your number 3, and then you've got a 1 wide receiver over here, and you got your running back in the backfield. This is where a cover 6 shines, and this might be something you want to have in your quick audibles, is now you're going to have palms coverages that you can jump into if you got a 3x3 set. So if you're running a guy that actually is in some formation, then switches over where he's got, basically 3 wide receivers on this side, he's got a single wide receiver on this side, this is a great play to go and jump into, because he can't, first and foremost, he can't break this side of the coverage. If he does he's got no ability to do a streak flat concept that's going to break the coverages on this back side. So that's what's cool about this. But if he does any other type of play, that it's not gonna be successful. So I'll show you how this plays a little bit differently against a play like slants if you run into that. So let's see if I snap the ball here. Look what happens. This guy previously in a 2x2, he actually would fall back and let that go. Now he's biting and coming down and actually playing that route really aggressively. So that is just a huge difference just in an assignment. A lot of times what happens is that people will try to throw that ball right away, and that defender is going to come down and play that. So that can't turn into a huge play opportunity, because there's going to be a defender down there. And if you're using a defender in that area too, it's going to be a little bit tighter of a passing lane that you're throwing into. So slants really gets gobbled up in this particular concept. But I think the play that really is a hard time to use is going to be like verticals. It would be a play. So watch verticals. Watch what happens. This guy should match up with this guy right here. This guy should match right here, and then the 3-rec hook should carry, and you should have support carrying over the top. And this guy should match up right here because of the vert hook, and he should fall back and actually support up these defenders down the middle. So watch what happens with this coverage. Watch these guys carry. They're going to carry over pretty effectively. You can see right here. See how these guys all carry? They go ahead and do their responsibilities. The only thing that the weakness of this particular defense, this palm defense, is any kind of drag underneath those verticals, and there's ways to go ahead and make adjustments. But really, this 3-rec hook's responsibility is to come down and play that. But watch what happens. Like this defender, you can go ahead and try to throw this. I've got a big safety in the middle of the field that's actually going to go and play that. So this does shut down verticals, which is a play that a lot of people like to spam. Against verticals, is you're going to have defenders that are going to play everything and actually go ahead and poach over the middle of the field. So the drag underneath is going to be the weakness. So a lot of times what I like to do is I like to take this defensive end, instead of rushing him, I'm going to put him in a flat. So if anything comes underneath my user, which is going to be the 3-rec hook, I can let that go and let it carry, and let that go so I can play in the box a little bit more. So that's kind of an adjustment I like to do when I play cover 6 online, when I'm running against 3x1 sets off to the covers, off to the palm side of the cover 6. So you can see that guy actually is slightly out of position. You can give up some pretty chunk yardage right here. Vertical route on the backside with the cover 2, you can see that's completely covered. So these guys, I've got double coverage on that side, protecting me if he tries to throw over the ball. A cover 3 streak corner. So one, if you can run a situation where you can try to do a corner route with the slot receiver. Watch what happens. These defenders actually play this pretty good. He's got inside leverage, then flips his back, and you can see he's in a position to go ahead and play that ball successfully for you. Another thing you do is a streak drag. Watch what happens to the drag. The drag actually is in a situation where he's going to carry. He's still going to follow that guy, but because of this in route on the back side, these guys are just kind of playing down into the box, and it's going to be a very crowded area that you can throw to. So you might want to get a little bit more depth with the crosser. One thing I do like to do, if I do run into someone who runs a lot of palms coverages, or cover 3 or cover 4, is I like to do a streak and then a deep comeback route. This defender has to protect over the top. His primary responsibility is over the top. So he's not going to give anything over the top. So he will carry up and give up deep comeback routes. So you can do deep out routes or deep comeback routes as long as you've got this guy streaking and requiring them actually to do this. You can manipulate that coverage and do a deep comeback route. Deep comeback routes are a staple route in my game, and it don't seem to be very popular with the Madden community. It's I think I'm one of the few people that really uses comeback routes a lot in my game. So you can see this rounded out, deep out. Another thing is a part of my staple game I like to go ahead and use. I'm not a big crosser person. I like to work the sidelines. I like to isolate my wide receivers on single guys. Right here you can drag flat. You can see how the drag actually matches up with that wide receiver. So you got that man everywhere the other wide receiver goes. And when you see this type of stuff, you can manipulate your opponent. So if he's using man wherever he's going, he's using cover 6, this guy has to match up with this guy and stick with him. And that's going to give me an opportunity to go ahead and go deep and get a leverage responsibility against this guy right here. So if I'm anticipating him running cover 6, I know I can get leverage against him and actually get an easy out. So one of the things too, when we're running against cover 6, is basically kind of a smash concept. So smash and then kind of like a fade and then a streak. Now this defender on the Miami Dolphins roster is really, really good, but a lot of times you can get, if you get this wide receiver, you can get yourself a one-play touchdown depending on the defensive back. Every single play that I did with this defensive back was contested with my wide receiver, but it was 50-50 balls. But you can get yourself some pretty good situations. You can see that this number 2 guy right here, this inside safety, plays the over-the-top coverage, and that allows me to basically get some opportunities for one-on-one opportunities to catch over the ball. A 50-50 ball, a lot of times these balls get knocked out. You could potentially have a guy that actually goes ahead and picks you off, so you got to be conscious of it. So here's a streak corner flat concept, similar to what we've shown to you before, this is a pretty good defense for it, but the defenders sometimes could be out of position. So I found that if you wanted to go ahead and be more effective, what happens is you can break it. If you do, instead of the streak corner flat concept, you can do a deep out. So we'll show you this once again, where basically you can have an opportunity where this defender actually can go ahead and he can get outside and actually pick that ball off if the ball's late. But watch what happens, how you can dumb out the coverage. If you do a deep out opposed to a corner route that actually kind of comes up and goes out, it's going to dumb out that safety that should be playing that wide receiver, and he gets himself out of position. So look where he's at. He's right here. His responsibility is to be over here, but he's not. This is something I discovered in the lab. That's number 2, that safety that should be matching with an out route. A deep out route will not play that coverage correctly. So I'm like, hey, what is going on with this? Why is this going on? Why is this not working correctly? Why is this guy giving up this huge play? So it was like one of those adjustments. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna slide the guy over, just see if he matches up correctly, if it's targeting issues and stuff like that. Let's see if it makes a difference. I'm gonna 3-rec hook my guy over here, make sure that this guy's actually over properly. with this coverage, and you could see once again the defense completely dumbs out. I could pick up good 30 yards. Anybody who's running on kind of cover 6 against me. So then I jump into the lab a little bit deeper, and I said, well, what if I go ahead and use a double set, motion a guy over where I can like blend in a zone pass or stuff like that, motion it over, and have a corner streak concept with a smoke route. Now the smoke route is going to pull this guy down. We know this guy's going to dumb out, but I've got the streak route, and then I have this corner route. Maybe I could hit this corner route on the backside, because these two guys are going to carry the streak and get stupid. Look what happens when I do this setup with this defense. These guys carry the corner and leave this wide open. So if you block yourself, you're going to get yourself a one-play touchdown. So if someone's running cover 6 against you, or running basically a Palms coverage, this is a phenomenal way to get a cheap touchdown against them. And you could, like the previous play, what you could do is you could have the same setup, motion this guy over, do an inside zone, or do some other type of route concept and stuff like that. But do this a couple different times, see how he responds to it. If he still stays in cover 6, you can go ahead and just hit him for a one-play touchdown. So this is something I kind of discovered, like, wow, this is really going to go ahead and give you an opportunity to get easy touchdowns against someone, because it blows up the coverage if they're running cover 6. And you always want to try to attack that box side because it has matching principles. Now, here's the solution to this, and this is what you want to do. If you're going to use cover 6, use it a base coverage. You want to have quarters, basically a basic cover 4 quarters against these flood concepts, because if you have quarters and you see a guy that's motion guys over, maybe he's taking a little bit longer, he's not snapping the ball, you can have quarters, a quick audible that you can jump into. If you jump into quarters, this doesn't dumb out the coverages completely. You're going to have matching principles. Yeah, you can check it down to this, but I don't want to give up that one-play touchdown. I can user this guy away and come over to here in that type of situation, or I could have that, or I could have basically that outside flat that would cover that backside guy right there. So that's just kind of something that you can use against this type of coverage and stuff like that. But this will basically go ahead and box up that cover 6 beater that you can run into. So these are concepts you want to get in the lab and just check out. Using cover 6. Cover 6 got its pros and its cons. It's pretty stout against the run. It's sometimes confusing for some people. They just don't read it correctly. But it does have some massive weaknesses in it, and it really is not successful. So if you were to choose between the match coverages, let's say cover 4 quarters is probably the way to go. But you need to know how to use cover 6 too, and why it is a good coverage to use. So once again, guys, if you like these type of tips, go ahead and make a comment down below. And thank you for your time. Next time.